Good afternoon. My name is Charles Johnson, and I'm going to go over my proposed research for my ID treatment. Quick background is my ID treatment was based upon a sort of a problem that I saw with current training sessions for new advisors coming into the Office of Enrollment. Um, the problem is they had a lack of learning objectives, lack of feedback and assessment of the knowledge, and no really measurable outcomes in their previous training. So the idea was that this gap could be minimized is if we put this sort of training on an online e-learning format. We decided on Canvas to really look at enhancing those gaps. And this was really this idea was really being able to develop the new training experience for the new hires. And I think we were pretty successful on getting the roadmap sort of outlined to do this. For me, the sort of theoretical framework that guided this was through connectivism. And connectivism is basically just contends that knowledge and learning knowledge are not located in any central location, but consist of connections formed from experience and interactions between individuals, organizations, and the technologies that connect them. So, further stated by Goldie in 2016, connectivism is one of the most prominent of the network learning theories that have been developed for e-learning environments. So I use that to sort of guide my training. It kind of legitimizes what we are doing in terms of the training and really created some goals and objectives that could be measured to say that if we were doing a good job in terms of the training, and more importantly, what was the perceptions connected to the training from the users. And so I think what this really naturally progressed into the research proposal of the main topic of inquiry being is what are the knowledge and perceptions of new hires regarding the use of an academic training course delivered by Canvas. And that sort of second thing that came from this was the purpose. The study, the proposed study really wants to investigate the effects of the online delivery training course for all of the advising hires. And then it really aims to focus on the training quality in an e-learning environment. So what I was really looking at was how does this training impact new hires in this online sort of guided format? Secondly, is there a statistically increase on engagement and knowledge with new hires who participate in the online training versus the control group of the individuals had taken this training just in a PowerPoint form? And then sort of that second part is what are the perceptions of the experience and grasping of the knowledge with this online training course format? So I really looked at some contextual framing here in terms of the physical, um, the mental, emotional state. Really, what are those motivation to work, learn, and improve? The cultural, the social influence, and the technology of the platform, right? So I moved into really what's the proposed setting is pretty simple. It's the members of the study will be in that office environment. They'll be at their workstation and they will be going through these sort of training modules. And the groups will then complete different trainings. The control group will have just the PowerPoint, and the investigation group will have this actual training in Canvas. And that way we will be able to effectively measure and compare the two. So the population in focus will really be those new hires that have come into the environment and getting the new training compared to the control group that's already done the previous training. And then that will give us really a good population in focus. The method on this will be chosen as a sample group because they will have completed the online training. It will be randomized in terms of that group. And then the control group will also be randomized to make sure that we're getting a good population of the historical PowerPoint training. Um, the potential definitions of these variables would be learning motivation, training content, the ease of use, the encouraging learning environment. That's what I really want to look at in terms of definitions of these variables. With all that being said, I move on to the proposed data collection methods. This study will use a quantitative approach. Questionnaires will be used as the survey instrument, as Gay, Mills, and Arisian in 2009 highlight that quantitative research allows researchers to gather data directly from the source of the participants being researched. So we'll collect all of that, we'll survey the students in the control group um, versus the survey students in the investigation group. And then we're going to go ahead and examine all those survey analysis. And this is the biggest importance for me is as I looked for good instruments and inventories to measure perception of online students, I took some ideas from a few of these. And really the takeaway for me is I want to make sure that it is reliable and internal consistencies for the assessment with my instrument. So there I'm going to be using a Cronbach alpha score for my participants and make sure that we do have reliability and internal consistency of that assessment. That's a major takeaway for me. Um, so as we move on, really those formal theories that guide all of this, the study, as I said before, is going to be that connectivism piece. Um, Corner in 2008 argued that connectivism facilitates a community of learners working with learning technologies. And that's the idea of this is we want to be able to effectively deliver this online content and create a community of learners that will impact um, what I'm doing in my office. And so those proposed surveys will be basic personal information like gender, age, background with computers, online learning experience, then moving into more of those perception questions like are they encouraged to participate during class? Is teaching often stimulating? All those sort of aforementioned questions, and this will be on a Likert 5 scale. And again, the overall objective of this study is to look at does the training development that we created give any statistically significant positive outcomes versus the previous format of how they trained? If it does, this will heavily impact the way we do things moving forward with our teams. Thank you.